Hello and welcome to the Agile Matrix podcast with Tammy. And they may be asking, what is the aim of this podcast? Let me put to you with this short story. I'm sure we remember the character Bruce Lee, that famous martial artist that died in 1973. He was a phenomenal martial artist and the actual founder of the boxing style called Jeet Kune Do. Now, he started out as a student of Wing Chun under Ip Man. But over the years, as he grew as a fighter, as a competitor, he found out that even though Wing Chun was really good, if anytime he either fought to someone that is a different fighting style, he would learn, spar, learn the techniques of the other person, so learn karate, judo, and other fighting styles. And over the years, he came to the conclusion that even though Wing Chun was very good and all the other fighting styles were really good, they had a lot of fluff in them. Because when you look at it, according to his words, the aim of every fighting style was to end their fight as quickly as possible. But all these fighting styles had a lot of fluff and had a lot of form and character. And they realized actually that if you stripped out some of the unimportant parts, like waist, you then are left with the essential fighting style. And he put this together along with a certain mentality, and he put that and he formed Jeet Kune Do. So the idea behind the Agile Matrix podcast and Agile Matrix really is that there are many techniques and frameworks that exist in Agile space, and they all address different areas of the Agile problem or of the problem of value delivery. So the Agile Matrix, the idea is to bring the best ideas of all of them together under one umbrella. Because when you think of it really, when you deliver a service or you receive a service, so for example, if you're an iPhone user, you know that sometime in September, Apple will release a new iPhone. Are you really particularly bothered about whether they use Kanban or Scrum or Safe or Less or the Nexus? What you're concerned about is that your phone arrives on time, it works as it should, and that you're happy with your purchase, right? So that's the idea behind the Agile Matrix podcast, is to come up with ideas and techniques and discussions and look at how we've delivered value using a mixture of these frameworks and techniques, and even some new ones that people don't know much about. I mean, we're very aware that a lot of us know about Scrum and Kanban, but there are other techniques that exist in the Agile space. People are trying. Remember this, and I say this in the end of my coaching courses, that the Agile idea, it's a movement that is still moving, it's evolving consistently. Why? Because we're in a complex space. Things are changing and our methods must adapt to meet the changing conditions that we're in. If not, we will not be able to deliver value to our customers. So that's the idea behind the Agile Matrix. So welcome to this podcast. I'm committing myself to actually doing 2 episodes a week. I'm going to do my best to keep to that, but this is my first episode. So let me know what you think, and let me know and get back to me and give me feedback so I can know that, you like what you're hearing and you like to see more from me. So thank you very much, and see you in the episode of the Agile Matrix podcast with Tammy. Cheers all. Hello, welcome back to the Agile Matrix podcast with Tammy. Now, today we're going to be looking at the Agile Manifesto, looking at where it came from, what it is, what's the implication in the world of work, and especially its implication in value delivery. Does it solve the problem? Where did it come from? So I don't know if you're aware, and if you're aware, this might be a reminder. Sometime in 2001, there was a conference called the Object-Oriented Programming System Languages and Applications Conference. That's a mouthful. Well, basically known as the OOPSLA conference, right? And these experts came together to discuss their experiences, their frustrations, their insights, particularly regarding software development practices. And in the interesting thing, in their conversations, they found a lot of common ground in their dissatisfaction with the at that time prevalent heavyweight document-centric methodologies like traditional waterfall. And in their conversations, one thing became clear to them: there was a requirement for a more flexible, a more collaborative, and a more customer-centric approach to software development. And in this conversation, 17 of these professionals decided to articulate their shared values and principles for they created a new approach towards software development. And in this conversation, they drafted what we now popularly know as the Agile Manifesto. Basically, a concise declaration that captured the essence of their collective vision for agile software development. Now, this manifesto was published on February 11, 2001, and it consists of 4 key values and 12 principles. And these key values and principles emphasize individuals and interactions, working software, customer collaboration, and responding to change. Now, the manifesto provided a foundational framework for the agile methodologies, inspiring this massive shift in software development practices globally. I mean, this manifesto, these principles gave birth to what we now know as Scrum and Kanban and all that. I mean, gave birth to the term that we use commonly today, Agile, which, if you understand it well, is an umbrella term for all the practices that agree and ascribe to the manifesto values and principles. And speaking about the Agile umbrella, I was listening to a particular podcast by Mike Cohn, and he described it in this really fantastic way that, some people assume, like some people might say Agile Scrum or Agile that, but he explained it in this really fantastic way that when you look at Agile and all the frameworks, it's like when you look at a freezer, for example, or a fridge. So there's a fridge is a device, you put stuff in there, it gets cold. But among the manufacturers of the fridge, you have Whirlpool, you have Samsung, you have all these other companies, LG, and that's how it is. So you look at Agile as the fridge, and then you can look at Scrum as Whirlpool, or Kanban as LG, and Extreme Programming as whichever company you know what I'm talking about anyway. So that's the Agile umbrella and the frameworks under it. But let's look at I think we have a couple of minutes left. Let's look at the Agile values themselves, right? So the first one, what are we talking about? We say individuals and process and interactions over processes and tools. Then what are we saying? We're saying that Agile prioritizes the value of human interaction and collaboration within development teams. Agile emphasizes the importance of communication, of teamwork, collaboration among team members, over relying solely on rigid processes and tools. Now, are we saying the processes and tools are not important? No, but we're saying there's more priority on the value of human interaction and collaboration within development teams. So what are we saying? This principle, number one, encourages, number one, open communication, frequent discussions, and a focus on building strong relationships within the team to foster creativity and innovation. Basically, the principle brings the idea of harvesting the group intelligence of a team. Now, if you focus on the interactions and in the individuals, you get the best out of them, right? So the second one, we talk about working software over comprehensive documentation. Now, what are we saying? We're saying that Agile advocates for delivering working software incrementally and iteratively rather than focusing excessively on extensive documentation. So what are we saying? Is documentation unimportant? No, it is important, right? But what we are saying is that we prioritize delivering functional software that meets the needs of the customer. That's what we're talking about. We're looking at meeting the needs of the customer. That is the focus. So we're saying that this approach allows for faster feedback loops, early validation of assumptions, and the ability to adapt to changing requirements more effectively because we are focused solely on meeting the customer's needs and requirements. Okay? Then the third one, we look at customer collaboration over contract negotiation. What are we saying? When Agile emphasizes the importance of involving customers and stakeholders throughout the process of development, right? So rather than relying on fixed contracts and extensive negotiations, we are encouraging continuous collaboration and feedback from customers to ensure that the delivered software meets their evolving needs. Remember, the target is practically a moving target. So the more interactions we have with the customers, the closer we are to the target. Now, if we focus on the contract and then we make the interactions quite difficult and cumbersome, we'll be further away from the target at the end, right? So we're saying here the focus is on delivering value and solving real world problems. That is the focus. right? Then the fourth one, we look at responding to change over following a plan. What are we saying? We're acknowledging the fact that software development is dynamic, right? And that change is inevitable. So in traditional project management, we will do everything to prevent change from happening. So we have the project plan, it's written out, it's drawn out, there's a Gantt chart, there are dates, there are names, there are all these processes put in place to ensure that we plan out change. But in today's world, we realize that we're operating in a complex environment, so change is inevitable. So Agile is saying allow for change, right? So because you can't do anything about it, things will change. We're in a complex space, okay? So what are we saying here? Agile teams are encouraged to be flexible, to be responsive, to be adaptive, to adapt to new requirements, to priorities, to feedback as they occur. So what are we saying? We're saying that the principle enables teams to quickly pivot, to innovate, to deliver value in an environment of uncertainty and complexity, because you can't do anything about that. The environment is uncertain, it's complex. So what are we saying? Like I always tell people, it's like when you drive with your sat nav in your car. Now you might plan to drive to a certain location and your car will tell you, take this route. But then as you start your journey, something happens and then the sat nav recalibrates and says, turn left. Now we naturally would do that because we understand that the sat nav has seen something or has become aware of something ahead of us. So we adjust, and that's the same idea, that when change occurs, you adapt to the change, right? So what are we saying? These core principles guide Agile practices by shaping the mindset and behaviors of Agile teams. So we have practices like Scrum, like Kanban, like extreme programming. These are built upon these principles, right? And they provide frameworks and methodologies for implementing Agile practices effectively. So we're looking at practices like iterative development, continuous integration, test-driven development, TDD, regular feedback loops. These are all aligned with Agile principles, and they are focused on delivering high-quality software in listen to this, in a collaborative, customer-focused, and adaptive manner. That is it. That's what we're all about. I call it collaborative value creation. That's what we're all about. That's what all the Agile frameworks are aiming for, to be able to deliver value collaboratively within the team and with the customer. That way, you are definitely surer that you'll get the customer exactly what they want, as opposed to you building something in a secret location and then coming at the end and going, there you go. Most likely you'll get to hear, that wasn't what I asked for. Okay? So thank you very much for joining us for today's podcast. The name is Tammy. You can find me on LinkedIn at my name is Temitope Awere, or you can actually contact me via the podcast app you're using. You can send me a message there, or you can visit our website, the agilematrix.org, and then you can actually even sign up for some of my courses, which you will see on the site. So I'm an accredited Kanban trainer. I also have the Scrum Master Optimization course. Just feel free to get in touch with me if you want to hear more. Thank you for today and giving some feedback. Let me know what you thought about the episode, and I will see you in the next one. Have a nice day.